I am Jonathan Babica. I'm the CEO of the Little Lighthouse Foundation. Alonzo Mourning. I mean, you do a lot all over, especially in Miami. Alonzo, of course, you're the founder of Mourning Family Foundation, Overtown Youth Center. Of course, all recognizable by you being an NBA champion with the Miami Heat and NBA Hall of Famer.
Right.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Jonathan, thanks for having me, and thank for what you do. Your Hearts and Stars initiative, it means a lot. When I speak to people that have a giving heart and is trying to make a difference in the community, there's symmetry and us coming together and discussing how we can kind of grow our initiatives. So it's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
With that said, what do you think? I love the idea of a heart and a star,
Right.
especially in Miami.
Understood.
What is like hearts and stars mean to you, and how does that kind of like, how's that symbolic of like our Miami community?
Well, listen, our younger generation, they're the stars, and when you think about just them being the next generation of Americans, the only way for them to be what we envision them to be, the leaders that we envision them to be, is, we as the older generation have to pour our heart into these kids and teach them the way to go, give them the blueprint, give them the support that they need. So when you think about young people as a whole, you think about the gifts that they have, many of them hidden.
Yeah.
And the only way for you to tap into those gifts is for you to develop a relationship with them, to spend time with them, to make an investment, to empower them, to empower them, and to motivate them, to help build their confidence. Just so many distractions, and when you think about social media and now AI and how it's going to revolutionize the way we live and what have you, but the one thing for sure, social interaction is the one thing that defines us.
Yeah.
The people that we connect with.
Yes.
You show me the 5 people you speak to on a consistent basis, and I'll tell you what type of person you are. You understand?
Yeah.
What I'm saying? So, when you think about our young people, and I'm living testament to that. I think I'm here. A big part of the reason why I'm here is because of other people's contributions. So I'm here because a lot of adults poured their heart into me.
Yeah.
They contributed to my well-being, which is the reason why I'm sitting here talking to you today, and it's why the accolades that you mentioned, I don't see them as an accolade. I just see them as a product of my blessings, because the purpose of a blessing is to use it to bless others. And you're talking about, the foundation and all this other stuff that has been done in the community through my efforts. It's a byproduct of the people that have helped contribute to my life, So I'd be doing them a disservice, my foster mom, my teachers, my coaches, and all family members, all these people that help contribute to who I am. I'd be doing them a disservice if I did not pay it forward from that perspective. So the purpose of a blessing is to use it to bless others, So I'm grateful to be able to have this platform to talk about it, to encourage, to excite, to motivate, to help people understand that they have a responsibility too. It's not just me, Everybody wants to give, I don't know too many people, and I don't surround myself with people that have ill will on our younger generation. They want to see them do better, but a lot of people don't know how to do it. They want us to do it. They want to see a difference, but they just don't know how to do it. So I like to think I've helped create a vehicle where people can attach themselves to and to give back and make a difference from that perspective.
You absolutely have.
Yeah.
I do want to say that, for as long as I've known you or seen you, you always suit up and show up. I mean, Missy was like, "What's Alonzo wearing?" I'm like, "Probably something fancy. I'll go a little casual."
I'm not fancy, man. I just got on a sports jacket and some slacks.
You
right
look
there.
good.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Hey, you know what? That's half the battle.
Yeah.
If you look good, you feel good.
Yeah.
Even if you not feeling good,
Yeah.
if you looking good, it helps.
Yeah.
It really does help.
And something to pass along to the youth as well.
And not just that, I tell young people, first impressions, before you even open your mouth, are lasting impressions. So if you walk to a person and you're looking disheveled and what have you, before one word comes out of your mouth, that person is forming a conclusion based on what they see. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? And I know young people, when they look good, they feel good. So I represent them. So when they see me, I want them to, be motivated to want to be like that.
Yeah.
I want to be motivated, especially young men.
Yes.
I think especially young black men, they don't see enough of their, men that they look up to. They don't see enough of them in this type of attire. They don't. They see them with baggy pants on and rapping, and now some of our athletes, they're walking around. Some of the stuff they wear to games. These are multi-million-dollar athletes, and I'm looking at them as they come, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, do you know you work for a multi-billion-dollar company? And you coming to work like that, that's why I love hockey players. You see how hockey players
shout out
come
to the
work?
Panthers.
Yeah, shout out to the Panthers. I'm excited for the city and the Panthers. But do you see how hockey players come to work? They come suited and booted, man.
Yeah,
and it's a beautiful thing to watch. Walk into the arena, and then they take off the suit. And they have this gladiator mentality on the ice, man, and they getting it done. There's a lot of elbows flying, and then they go in the locker room, shower up, and put their suits back on and head home. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I talking about just being a good mentor and Overtown Youth Center, 21 years celebrating.
Yes.
And you recently took myself and the Little Lighthouse Foundation staff on a site visit, and we're coming to the kitchen, and it's, I believe, a young gentleman, Kino. Mm-hmm. And I love that. You guys just completely connected.
Yeah.
And then you informed us that you've known him since he was a little guy.
5. He was like 5 or 6 years old. He started our program.
Now he's working at Overtown Youth Center.
He's a college graduate, and he worked for us.
Okay.
All right. He was part of our staff.
Yeah.
And then, he said, well, look, I want to help the foundation, in other ways, So now him and his father support our meal program.
Great.
Yeah. So it's
amazing.
So they prepare food for the kids, and this is not just, hamburger and hot dogs. This is culinary style meals. This is good food, to help us feed our young people. And then our meal program is. Nutrition is probably one of the biggest obstacles that kids face in the inner cities, because many of them, don't have the knowledge of how to eat and take care of themselves and whatever. So this is best practice for us. We're constantly teaching these kids as much as we can to develop the right habits on so many different levels. Taking care of their bodies, eating right, exercising, strengthening literacy skills. I mean, you name it, health and wellness, all that stuff, So we've kind of created this one-stop shop, so where children and families can come and they can get whatever they need free of charge.
Yeah.
We go out and raise the money, which is why, the reason why I do stuff like this is not to get the praise or the accolades or the recognition. I do these type of things, to get the word out.
Yeah.
I want to educate the community on what we're doing, because the more people know about what we're doing, the more support we get. We got a $9 million budget, 110 employees, So, we provided services to over 5,000 families just last year.
Wow.
So, we got a little under 1,000 kids that we provide services to. So when you think about the numbers, you think about the responsibility that comes with that, So, the only way we're able to get done what we need done is people have to give us stuff. People have to give us money. They got to give us their time, all that stuff. So the only way we do that is we got to educate the community, broadcast our initiative on and break down the impact that we're having on these young people and their families.
100%. That's fully 100% why we're here today. I'm so excited to share this. I knew Overtown Youth Center when it was its former building. Now it's just like you walk in and you were just impressed. I mean, it was some people on the tour their first time and they were just blown away. But I want to talk about, of course, the after-school programs, all the programs that you have for the kids. Yeah. But, I love how you're talking about all these services and providing it to the families. Right. That machine, the OnMed Care Station, that's so futuristic, and I'm so happy it's there.
Telehealth, man. AI.
Telehealth.
That's the direction that we're going in. This is the direction the world is going in. So making it accessible for people in low-income areas to get medical services that they need. And these could be minute medical services, maybe ear infection or a sore throat, or instead of going to the emergency room or going to their primary care physician, or if they even have one.
Right. Exactly.
Having it accessible to the community so that they can go and get looked at from a healthcare provider.
Yeah.
And get a prescription and what have you, So having it right there in the community and accessible and easy to get to is extremely important, So we know the difficulties with our, with our medical industry. We know the costs that goes along, with getting medications and getting proper health care. So it's very discouraging. It really is, because it's challenging, and it's unfortunate, that we live in a society, a very rich society, with tons of resources, and those in low socioeconomic communities, don't have access to health care. And educating them on being proactive with their health, not waiting till it's too late, so it's just a lot of different things, we try to cover from that perspective, but that's part of our wellness program. Yeah. On so many different levels, if a mother comes in, single mother, which we have a lot of those, 80% of our kids come from single parent homes. And she walks in the door and we noticed that she's got 3 kids. One needs, hearing exam. Another one needs a dental exam, and another one needs an eye exam. And we noticed that she's a little disheveled or battered because maybe her boyfriend or whoever it is that she's with is abusing her. We're able to cover all of those bases, free of charge for that family. And we have an access to the community, a door that's accessible to the community where they can walk in during the day and get the services that they need, Yeah. We've provided those services outside of anywhere from finding housing for families as well. We've plenty of times, we have people come in. Some of them family might be living in their car, and they come in asking for help, and we have a 10 of a parent services team that have a list of all of our relationships and all of our resources for us to provide the support necessary on so many different bases. Filling out an application for a job. Some of these families don't have internet access in their homes, So, we got our 2 technology centers where they can come in, they can use their computers, and do what they need to do in order to get their life jump started. Outside of that, the basis of what we do is education. Strengthening literacy skills in school, after school, summer programming. That consistency is key. Strong, positive voices of influences allow us to get the results necessary. 100% high school graduation rate. Close to 90% of our kids go to college and graduated, which is all noted, which is all first-generation scholars, all of them. So
wow.
We like to think that we're breaking a cycle. Keno, who you spoke of, this kid started in our program at age 5.
Yeah.
Okay, and we follow our kids to age 25. We have different departments that each and every one of our kids has an ISP plan, individual success plan. So we follow the progress of these kids all the way through. We're almost like a social service agency from that perspective. And we also wear the hats of the mentor or a confidant or, a family member. We wear a lot of different hats from that perspective. And having that caseload, our coordinators having the caseload of those kids and identifying all these particular obstacles that keep a child from walking through the doors of a school to walking across the stage with a diploma in their hand, is pretty much the model. It really is. That pretty much sums it up. It's a relationship model. And what I used earlier as an example, the relationship that you and I have had growing up, is the reason why we're able to sit here and talk to each other today.
Yeah. I mean, it is a full-fledged family and community center.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
it's a
phenomenal.
family. We call it OIC, but it's truly a family resource center.
Right.
It really is a family resource center. And I didn't even mention the arts that we provide. I didn't even mention all the other extracurricular activity, STEM lab, dance studio, art studio, music studio. I mean, the list goes on, So, we try to cover all the bases because we know, and like I said earlier, that every child has a gift. They really do. And there's no getting around it. They come into this world with something to offer to the world. We got to find out what that is. And a lot of the school systems, they don't have the personnel to do that. They don't. Or they don't have the departments to do that.
Right.
They don't. It's no knock on them. It's not. They just don't have it. So through a public-private partnership with Miami-Dade County School, we're able to be in the schools and we're able to help the schools that we're in. The 14 feeders for schools they're in. We've developed the trust of the principals. We don't get in the way of their curriculum. And we assist on so many different levels. We do what they can't do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And speaking of arts, music, STEAM, a lot of great partners have been a part of that. Of course, the basketball court that you teamed up with your fellow NBA Miami Heat champion Shaq with, but a lot of those rooms, even like Wayne Boyce and these great philanthropic leaders,
business leaders,
investing.
Yeah, investing. Yeah.
And I think also the new music studio with
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled would be the best foundation playing for change.
And playing for change, yeah. Guitars over guns.
Guitars over guns.
Yeah.
These collaborations, partnerships, whether they're just coming together and bringing their resources,
we
or
wouldn't
the
have
funding.
We wouldn't have 56,000 square feet without the trust and the relationship of those individuals and the collaboration.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have all of what we have without those partners, And we're very transparent, extremely. We're an open book.
Yeah.
The people know where all the money goes, and there's no hidden agendas. And we spell it out and show them, plain and simple, exactly what we do. And it's a process to get the results that we get. Now we got graduates and everything, we have the data, have all these years, and kids that are working for us, so you can speak to them and hear their testimonies of when they've gone through the program. So we got it all from that perspective, But it's taken a while to get there, and it's taken a lot of patience. It's taken some struggle.
Yeah.
But we've arrived, and I think that through grant writing, through dinners, lunches, events, what have you, through things like this, it gives us an opportunity, kind of broadcast and educate the community on what we're doing, which which is why the funding has come our way. We just got a DOE grant from the state, $1 million, which is such a relief and a blessing, especially with all the, the cutbacks that has come from the federal level. So
well needed. Congrats.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So that was a relief for us because we thought we were going to lose it this year, because of our current administration and what they're doing and cutting everything back.
Yeah.
With government spending, but it's grassroots organization like ours that's doing the work that nobody else wants to do, So give us a little relief, please. We should be fully funded. I shouldn't have to work this hard. Tina, my CEO, she shouldn't have to work that hard. We shouldn't have to be out here raising all this money. We should receive it from the government, considering all the boxes that we check and the impact that we're having on so many lives, so.
Speaking of partnerships and the impact on so many lives and education and everything that we're speaking of and students, getting them ready.
Yeah.
Little Lighthouse Foundation's partnering up with Overtown Youth Center for our back to school program at PAM.
Love it.
And I mean, with the feeder schools, with having a charter school, Gibson Charter at Overtown Youth Center,
for sure,
with a school named after you, like you know about schools and students. What, from your perspective and from you growing up, why is it so important that we equip these students with backpacks and school supplies?
Well, it's not just the students. You got to think about the parents.
And families, of course.
Yeah. I mean, it's a struggle to spend the money, I don't think you understand, how difficult it is to live in Miami now, from the standpoint, I mean, obviously you and I are blessed, from that perspective, but, the cost of living has gone through the roof here, man. It really has, So to provide some support, financial support on so many different levels to subsidize, so the cost of whether it be school clothes and, any type of items that they need for school and to being a provider, you provide a relief to these families, that they have somewhere to go to get the things that they need in order so the parents don't have to worry about, spending that a couple of extra $100 and they can use that towards food.
Yeah.
Or gas money or whatever it is. It goes
Essentials.
Towards rent, essentials, what have you, So that's a blessing in itself.
Yeah. And the back to school program, a beautiful setting at PAM.
Yeah.
It's on a Tuesday.
Sure.
It's closed to the public, exclusive to us.
Very much so. And then a lot of those kids haven't even been to PAM,
Exactly.
So bringing them to PAM, exposing them to the Perez Art Museum, is extremely important. It's part of their growth. It is, So doing that in that type of setting, I think it's exciting and extremely important.
We're also partnering with Bam Adebayo's BBB Foundation.
Amazing. He's a good kid. I love Bam.
Good. I mean, he's doing.
He come from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
So he knows what it means to not have.
Yeah.
Single mother, okay. Trailer park. They lived in. They lived in a trailer.
I think he has a photo of it.
Damn right he does. So
he's
pleasant
present.
reminder.
Yeah.
This is where I started. And he knows that there's other kids living like that. That have aspirations and dreams just like he had. So he's paying it forward. He is. Yeah.
And just facilitating our partnership with Overtown Youth Center and kind of like now we're doing some really great things together, and it's been a lot of communication and a lot of work.
Right.
And speaking of the Miami Heat, what does it look like on your end? I'm interested in like the inside the OYC a little bit. Do you motivate your team like Tina Brown, the incomparable Tina Brown? What an incredible leader! Her and like your board of directors or staff. Is it like a Miami Heat mentality when you're in there, inspiring, motivating? We gotta do this.
No, more importantly, we build a culture.
Yeah.
And the culture, kind of speaks for itself because, most of all of our top executives, from HR to accounting, the longest tenured positions in our organization. We don't have a revolving door,
Right.
so which is how we're able to kind of sustain that
Yeah, that's
culture.
huge.
And then we're able to identify kids that have gone through our program and come back and work for us. That kind of feeds our culture thing as well. So when you think about that, I think the motivation factor is already ingrained there because, a lot of people, first of all, they've been there, 10, 15 years, so they understand what the protocol is. And then outside of that, kids that have gone through the program, I mean, if you want culture, that's it. That's where it's right there in the fabric because they've lived it. So they know what to do, because they've lived it. It's a beautiful thing, So that's how we've kind of built that culture. Right?
Fantastic.
So because we don't have a revolving door, and we take care of our own. We do. We're not for profit. But we try to make sure that we take care of everybody.
Yeah.
Because we know they have lives and they got to make a living and what have you. And we know how important it is to kind of keep our personnel intact and to take care. And then all of our folks have kind of grown to embrace the responsibility of giving back and making a difference. They've embraced it. Now it's a part of their DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a grind.
Oh, it is. It's no
joke.
joke.
It may be nonprofit, but it is
Yeah. It's a
as
grind,
you said,
man.
everybody wears several hats. And it's all hands on deck.
It is, and how I'm a part of it all is being present.
Mm-hmm.
I pop up and, they see me, so they're like, wow, he's not just putting his name on this, he's showing up. He's there,
Yeah.
Or I walk in on a session, and speak to the kids or what have you. And, being present is extremely important. Just being
Suit up
present.
and show up.
Yes, being present so they see you.
Yeah.
They understand that you care just as much as they do.
Yeah. And you have, a commanding presence,
Well, I mean, it helps being 6'10" and black. It's kind of hard to come in under the radar. You know what I'm saying? For sure. Yeah.
With everything that you've been through and everything that you see in, the kids coming to Overtown Youth Center, what do you think would be some of your, I know you could probably think there's many words of advice that you could give them, but is there something maybe even right now that you've been kind of like throwing around your head or that you've thought like a mantra all the way through as to like, we've discussed like, suiting up, first impressions. What's another key element?
That I would tell the young people in
because
the program.
Also from day one, and people love this, when I went to the old building at Overtown Youth Center.
Yeah, the 18,000 square feet facility that we had. Now we have 56,000 square feet, yes.
And, all the kids were incredibly respectful.
Yes.
Shaking my hand, saying, "Good morning, Jonathan." Something that you've always, promoted for them.
Yeah.
Would you say that's kind of like a core thing in terms of...
It's part of our core principles. At OYC, we greet each other with a handshake and a smile to strengthen the relationship between us. Outside of that, some of our principles talk about how we treat each other. So that has to be taught. It has to be influenced, and most of our kids don't get exposed to that in the home. But when they come to the center, they know how to act. They know how to present themselves. They know how to look people in the eye and present themselves from that perspective. That goes a long way because that's the start of the relationship with the handshake and looking you in the eye. That's the start of it. Outside of that, helping them understand the importance of education. Not all of them have to go to college. They don't, okay? But you have to develop some type of hunger to learn something that you can use to help support yourself and your family. So encouraging them, to work hard with whatever you do, whether it be sports or in the classroom or what have you, because hard work doesn't guarantee you anything, but without it, you don't stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't stand a chance if you don't work hard. If you just go through the motions, it's not going to magically happen. It's not going to, the success that you're looking for is not going to happen that way. You got to have discipline. You got to put in the work. You got to make some sacrifices. There's a lot you got to do, and it's a process with it. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to develop some level of consistency in order for you to see the results that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much ingrained in all of our kids.
Yeah.
And
that
discipline. I'm going to tell you, that's why we get the results we get.
Yeah.
Because of the level of strong, consistent, positive voices of influence. And as we continue to surround them with that, they just automatically, in time, they gravitate towards it. And as they gravitate towards it, you start seeing them change. You start seeing them, move in the direction that you want them to move in, So it's a process, and I think the beauty of it all is that, we have all the right pieces in place in order for us to get the results that we're looking for, and we're very grateful for all the support that we've received from everybody else because they believe in our model and what we do, and, we're having an impact. And we're doing God's work. I'm very grateful to be, God has used me as a vehicle, to get this stuff done, to do his work.
He most certainly has.
Yeah.
And 21 years of just hitting the pavement, getting things done has blossomed into this incredible Overtown Youth Center facility. You're speaking of all these, donors and people in the community coming in to support.
Yeah. Stuart Miller's, the Mike Fernandez's, the Mickey Harrison's, the Pat Riley. The list goes on. I can't tell you how many checks have been written. Really big checks. The Mayor Cava, Mayor Suarez, commissioners, Audrey Edmondson and Keon Hardeman. They show up. They understand the importance of what we do. The superintendent in schools, Dr. Doltres, all of them, they get it. They get it, and they support us, which is why we exist.
Now, I feel like everybody can help Overtown Youth Center. These are some big names and kind of big investments, and I feel like you've built something, and it does require the necessary funding.
Right.
What is the best way for somebody to get involved in an Overtown Youth Center to see how they can contribute financially or on a volunteer basis?
Listen, I'll show up on any tour that you would like to have. Just go to our website, overtownyouthcenter.org, oic.org, and reach out to us, email us, call us, set up a tour. I'll show up, and you get a chance to meet me, my staff, and what have you. You can see directly the impact that we're having. And you can donate as you see fit. It's as simple as that. We're grateful for any contribution. We're grateful for anybody's time. You show up, you make a contribution, you see the impact that you want to have, or you want to allocate dollars to a certain department or what have you. If that's what you are passionate about, you're passionate about just donating to our sports program, or if you want to just donate to health and wellness, or whatever it is, we can tailor whatever you want to support, because we have a lot of different things to support.
Absolutely. You guys do a lot, and it takes some.
Yeah, it takes a village.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
final thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Neo performance at the OIC Gala was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, it was nice. We're actually going to do another gala. I'm working on talent now. Yeah, I'm working on that. But, yeah.
And how did you enjoy Hearts and Stars Gala?
I mean, it was incredible. Ja Rule, and he's an incredible entertainer. And
good energy.
That crowd was amazing there. That crowd was amazing. So, and it was a perfect night. The weather was perfect. Everything was great. So we had a good time. Enjoyed it. Looking forward to next year.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah,
we're so happy and grateful that that you came in, spent time with us. You took us on a tour.
Yeah, man.
And I hope everybody's educated to see like you really have this vehicle that you've created.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just somebody just needs to take that step.
Yep. Well, your next step, Jonathan, is replication. We want to grow this. Growth has already happened. I mean, we went from 18,000 square feet to 56,000. We've tripled the size. But, there's other boroughs of South Florida and beyond that need our services. So our next step, I actually just had a conversation with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Mayor Levy up in Hollywood, and just talking about how we can expand our services up to the Broward area, so because of the need, there's a tremendous need, so we're in discussions, having some dialogue with some folks, so I'm hopefully, God willing, things will come to fruition just like they have in Overtown. I'm sure that, there's another location out there. We just have to spread our tentacles to other areas, start creating some momentum. And, one day it's going to happen.
You have an incredible proven model.
Thank you.
And looking forward to the future and the impact that you guys are making and that we can make together.
Excellent.
Thank you so much,
It's a pleasure,
Alonzo.
brother.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, man. All right.
Thank
you so much. Yeah.